Namaskar. Good evening, viewers. It's 9 p.m. time for the news on Sansad TV. I'm Rajiv Kumar Singh. Over the next half an hour, we will get you the latest from the national and the international front. First up, the headlines at this hour. Prime Minister Modi launches projects worth over rupees 80,000 crore at UP Investors Summit in Lucknow. Says investors showed faith in the youth of Uttar Pradesh. Union Home Minister Amit Shah reviews the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, discusses Amarnath Yatra arrangements with NSA Ajit Doval, Army Chief and Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. Nomination process concludes for 57 seats of the Rajya Sabha in 15 states. Candidates unopposed in 45 seats in 12 states, voting on remaining seats on 10th of June. External Affairs Minister S. JAISHANKAR meets Prime Minister of Slovakia, discusses cooperation in fields of politics, economics and defense. Asserts India has exported wheat to 23 countries. Double medals for India at the ISSF World Cup. Anjum Mudgil and men's team win silver medals in 50-meter rifle 3 position events. Women wrestlers Mansi and Sakshi Malik win gold in Almaty tournament. Now, some more important news of the day. India reacts sharply to US State Department's report alleging attacks on minorities, calls it ill-informed comments by senior US officials. Over 150 women working in an apparel manufacturing unit fall ill after suspected ammonia gas leak in Visakhapatnam. Government ratifies 8.1% Employee Provident Fund interest rate for 2021-22. Supreme Court dismisses petitions challenging Puri Jagannath Temple Parikrama project, fines petitioners with rupees 1 lakh. Foreign exchange reserves increased by $3.854 billion to $601.363 billion in the week ended May 27th. No need to look for Shiva Linga in every mosque. Court's decision on GYANVAPI should be accepted by all, says RSS chief. New India is getting a strong base due to empowerment of farmers, says Prime Minister Modi. Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan organizes a cycle rally in Shillong to mark World Bicycle Day. 10-day-long disaster management training for local youth in Kargil and Batalik conclude. US law proposes ban on assault-style weapons, high-capacity magazines to tackle carnage of gun violence. Now, news in detail. Prime Minister Modi on Friday laid the foundation stone of 1,406 projects worth over rupees 80,000 crore at the 3rd Uttar Pradesh Investors Summit in Lucknow. The projects are spread across various sectors including agriculture and allied sector, IT and electronics, MSME, manufacturing, renewable energy, pharma, tourism, defense and aerospace, handloom and textiles. The record investment will create new employment opportunities that will benefit the youth. Addressing the inaugural function, the Prime Minister said, only a democratic India has the capacity to live up to the trustworthy partner the world is looking for today. He said the record investment will generate new employment opportunities that would benefit the youth of the state the most.
उत्तर प्रदेश की युवा शक्ति में वो सामर्थ्य है कि आपके सपनों और संकल्पों को नई उड़ान, नई ऊंचाई देने का सामर्थ्य उत्तर प्रदेश के नौजवानों में है और आप जिस संकल्प को लेकर के आए हैं, उत्तर प्रदेश के नौजवानों का परिश्रम, उनका पुरुषार्थ, उनका सामर्थ्य, उनकी समझ, उनका समर्पण आपके सभी सपने संकल्पों को सिद्ध करके रहेगा, ये मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a high-level meeting to take stock of the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir amid incidents of terrorist killings in the Kashmir Valley. The issue of security arrangements for the upcoming Amarnath Yatra was also taken up at the meeting. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Army Chief General Manoj Pandey and Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha were present at the meeting. Withdrawal of nominations for 57 seats of Rajya Sabha in 15 states ended on Friday. Candidates have been elected unopposed for 45 seats in 12 states. Voting will be held on June 10th for 12 seats in 3 states. 11 candidates have been elected unopposed from Uttar Pradesh. 3 DMK candidates, Congress candidate P. Chidambaram and an AIADMK candidate were elected unopposed to the Rajya Sabha from Tamil Nadu. 2 candidates each from BJP and RJD and a candidate from JDU were elected from Bihar. All 4 YSR candidates were also elected unopposed from Andhra Pradesh. 3 candidates of the BJD were elected unopposed from Odisha. Congress leader Vivek Tankha, BJP leader Kavita Patidar and Sumitra Valmiki were declared elected unopposed from Rajya Sabha from Madhya Pradesh. Congress candidates Rajiv Shukla and Ranjit Ranjan were elected from Chhattisgarh. Environmentalist Balbir Singh Sichewal and social activist Vikramjit Singh Sahani were elected unopposed as candidates of Aam Aadmi Party from Punjab in the Rajya Sabha elections. JMM candidate Mahua Manjhi, BJP's Aditya Sahu were elected unopposed from Jharkhand. External Affairs Minister S. JAISHANKAR met the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Edward Heger, on Friday. The talks centered on strengthening political, economic and defense cooperation between the two countries. Both also exchanged views on Ukraine crisis and its wider consequences. JAISHANKAR conveyed the Prime Minister's greetings to Slovakia and conveyed India's appreciation for its cooperation during Operation Ganga. The External Affairs Minister also addressed the Globsec 2022 Bratislava Forum. Responding to a question on the occasion, he explained why India has stopped wheat exports.
We have actually said, look, we're not going to give speculators an open access to the Indian market so that the Indian customer and the LDCs of the world get the short end of that. Yeah. What we are still open to doing is where we see a kind of a deserving country wanting wheat, very glad to supply it within the realm of possibility. And just for the record, I think we've done this year wheat exports to about 23 countries.
External Affairs Minister S. JAISHANKAR also interacted with the Indian diaspora during his visit. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Modi attended a public function at Parong village in near Kanpur. The President welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his arrival.
इसे मैं पूरे देश का सौभाग्य मानता हूं कि प्रत्येक नागरिक के जीवन को सरल व सुखमय बनाने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी सतत प्रयत्नशील रहते हैं। उन्होंने भारत माता की सेवा करने के अर्थ को नए आयाम दिए हैं। उन्होंने राष्ट्र सेवा और जन कल्याण की अवधारणा को नई सार्थकता प्रदान की है।
In his remarks, Prime Minister Modi said the world is witness to the values that the President has received from the soil of Parong.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत का अर्थ है आत्मनिर्भर गांव, आत्मनिर्भर युवा। हमारे गांव गति पकड़ेंगे तो देश गति पकड़ेगा। हमारे गांव विकास करेंगे तो देश विकास करेगा। आदरणीय कोविंद जी ने के रूप में देश को राष्ट्रपति देने वाले परोख ने ये साबित कर दिया है कि गांवों की मिट्टी में कितना सामर्थ्य होता है।
Both the President and the Prime Minister unveiled the statue of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar at the Ambedkar Park. They also had an interesting conversation with the children of Kanpur Dehat. Earlier, the President and the Prime Minister offered prayers at Pathri Mata Temple. In the news from across the nation in National Briefs. The Enforcement Directorate has issued fresh summons to Congress leader Rahul Gandhi to appear before it on June 13th for questioning in a money laundering case related to the National Herald newspaper. The ED had summoned Congress President Sonia Gandhi on 8th of June. A special court in Delhi dismissed the petition of Congress MP Karti Chidambaram and other accused for anticipatory bail in a money laundering case in connection with the bribe for visa scam. The court reserved its order while denying interim protection to the Congress leader and the son of former Union Minister P. Chidambaram. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami registered a record victory in the Champawat by-election. He defeated Nirmala Gahoturi of Congress by over 55,000 votes. In a setback to the ruling LDF in Kerala, the opposition Congress UDF won by the election in the Trikakara assembly seat. India's services sector grew at a fastest rate of 11 years in May. The seasonally adjusted S&P Global's India Services PMI Business Activity Index rose to 58.9 in the month from 57.9 in April. The growth was driven by good demand and growth in new businesses. The eSanjeevani telemedicine service has been integrated with the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. The National Health Authority said existing users of eSanjeevani can now generate their Ayushman Bharat health card and link the same with their existing health records. For the first time in 84 years, daily COVID cases crossed 4,000. The number of patients under treatment has increased to 21,177. The national recovery rate of patients is 98.74%. In the 2014 Khagragar blast case, a special NIA court convicted Masiuddin alias Musa. It has sentenced him to life imprisonment. Musa was arrested in 2017. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is on a visit to the African country of Senegal. In capital Dakar, he attended a reception organized by the Indian community. Speaking on the occasion, he said the diaspora has created immense goodwill for India by their achievements and contributions in the development of Senegal. The Vice President described the community as the true cultural ambassadors of India. India and Senegal are celebrating the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. The Indian community in Senegal has about 500 members. Most of them work for Indian companies.
Our Indians, our sisters and brothers, having traveled a long distance and sitting in different parts of the world, they are making remarkable progress economically. At the same time, I am very happy to see that our friends maintain the contact with the motherland.
The Vice President also visited the International Art Exhibition Biennial 2022 in Dakar. The exhibition showcases contemporary African art and creativity. The contemporary art exhibition showcases handicrafted works, paintings and other arts. Time for a short break here. On the other side, after 100 days of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where do the two sides stand?
What is the significance of the first ever visit by an Indian head of state to Jamaica?
It shows the political engagement that we're trying to do and how much we're trying to enhance and strengthen our relationship with them.
How do you evaluate Jamaica's relationship with India?
We are particularly enthused by the track record that India has exhibited and their initiatives towards mitigation of climate change, what they've done with alternative energy, how they leverage technology. All of these fields are areas which Jamaica is seeking to further develop.
Welcome back. Time now for all the main developments from the Russia-Ukraine war front. And in all the latest developments on the Ukraine conflict. On the 100th day of the Russian invasion on Friday, the UN crisis coordinator warned there will be no victor from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He said that the war has and will have no winner. Rather, we will have witnessed for 100 days what is loss, lives, homes, jobs and prospects. He also added that the war has taken an unacceptable toll on people and engulfed virtually all aspects of civilian life. A Ukrainian presidential advisor has said that Kyiv does not plan to use multiple launch rocket systems that it receives from the US to attack targets within Russia. He said the Ukraine is waging a defensive war and does not plan to use the MLRS to attack facilities in Russia. UK's Defence Ministry says that Russia will likely control the whole of the Luhansk region in the next 2 weeks. In its latest intelligence briefing, the ministry said Moscow's forces are currently in control of more than 90% of the region, one of the two that make up eastern Ukraine's Donbass. The ministry added that Moscow's tactical successes have come at a significant resource cost. The UN has confirmed more than 9,000 civilians have been killed amid the conflict, adding that the true figure is likely to be considerably higher, with ongoing hostilities making efforts to calm the dead being difficult. Germany has condemned Russian President Putin's attempt to create a narrative that the West is responsible for a looming food crisis in Africa. A spokesperson said that the risk of famine in parts of the world is a consequence of the Russian war of aggression and not that of Western sanctions. Meanwhile, the Kremlin said that Russia will continue its special military operation in Ukraine until all its goals have been achieved. It defined the goals as protecting people in the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic. The two breakaway regions have been controlled by Russian-backed separatists since early 2014. Ukraine's ambassador to Ankara has accused Turkey of being among a number of countries that Kyiv claims are buying grains from Russian stole from the country amid its invasion. Ambassador Vasil Bodnar said that he has sought help from Turkish authorities and Interpol to investigate who is involved in the alleged shipment of grains transiting Turkish waters. Ukraine marked 100 days since Russia's invasion on Friday. With fighting raging across the east of the country, Russian forces are tightening their grip on the Donbass, even as Kyiv announced that they are now in control of a fifth of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea and parts of the Donbass seized in 2014.
100 days since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it has become Europe's worst armed conflict in decades. Tens of thousands of civilians and soldiers have been killed, millions fled the country or are internally displaced. Factories, hospitals, bridges, schools and residences have been destroyed. When Russia invaded Ukraine on 24th of February, it had hoped to overrun the country in a blitz lasting only days or a few weeks. But as Moscow's invasion reached the 100-day mark, where exactly do the two sides stand? Russia has seized significant chunks of territory around the Crimean Peninsula that Moscow annexed 8 years ago. It has cut off Ukraine completely from the Sea of Azov, finally securing full control over the key port of Mariupol after a 3-month siege. But as Western arms flow into Ukraine to bolster its outgunned army, the offensive in the east is bogged down. Russian artillery and warplanes relentlessly pound Ukrainian positions, trying to break through defenses built up during the separatist conflict. They have made only incremental gains, clearly reflecting both Russia's insufficient troop numbers and the Ukrainian resistance. Russia recently lost hundreds of personnel and dozens of combat vehicles while trying to cross a river to build a bridgehead. The Kremlin is now opting for tactical mini-offensives to encircle Ukrainian forces. The Donbas fighting has increasingly become artillery duels. Ukrainian authorities are emboldened by the slow pace of the Russian offensive and growing Western support. President Zelensky reaffirmed that pushing the Russians back to pre-invasion positions would represent a victory. Analysts say the question is whether the Ukrainian army will be able to knock Russian forces back off the Dnipro River and liberate the right bank part of the Kherson region and the city of Kherson. They expect Russia to probably take control over resisting Donbas areas by the autumn and establish its power fully in the occupied territories. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Time now for some other global updates. American President Joe Biden delivered an impassioned plea to Congress to act on gun control after the recent spate of shootings in the U.S. The House Judiciary Committee later passed some of the most sweeping gun control measures considered by Congress in decades. The Protecting Our Kids Act is a package of 6 bills that would reform gun laws across the country.
Memorial Day this past Monday.
Speaking at the White House, U.S. President Joe Biden sought to drive up pressure on Congress to pass stricter gun limits in response to mass shootings in Texas and New York by assailants who used such weapons to kill 31 people, including 19 children.
My fellow Americans, enough. Enough. It's time for each of us to do our part. It's time to act for the children we've lost, the children we can save, for the nation we love. Let's hear the call and the cry. Let's meet the moment. Let us finally do something.
A U.S. House panel advanced legislation that would raise the age limit for purchasing a semi-automatic rifle from the current 18 to 21 years. Partisan positions were clear at the Judiciary Committee hearing that lasted more than 9 hours. In addition to raising the age limit for purchasing semi-automatic rifles, the bill makes it a federal offense to import, manufacture, or possess large-capacity magazines and would create a grant program to buy back such magazines. It also builds on the administration's executive action, banning fast-action bump stock devices and ghost guns that are assembled without serial numbers. Final vote to advance the bill was 25:19, with Democrats accounting for all the yes votes and Republicans accounting for all the no votes. The Democratic legislation is called Protecting Our Kids Act. Speaker Nancy Pelosi promised the House will vote on the measure next week. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And in other news from across the globe, a UN-brokered truce renewal for 2 months announced on Thursday brought a fresh glimmer of hope for ending the conflict in Yemen. The truce extension came into effect on Thursday after the same terms as the previous UN-brokered agreement that began on April 2nd. Yemen's warring parties have voiced their support and welcomed the move after the extension was announced. China's most advanced and sophisticated aircraft carrier is nearing completion. Satellite photos suggest the Type 003 carrier has been under construction at the Jiangnan shipyard northeast of Shanghai since 2018. Though no launch was announced, the state-run Global Times newspaper ran a story quoting reports that it could be launched soon. The Pakistan government is considering a sedition case against former Prime Minister Imran Khan and the chief ministers of Gilgit-Baltistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa for allegedly planning an attack on the federation during a protest here last month. A meeting of a special cabinet committee deliberated on the issue of bringing sedition charges against Khan and others following their May 25th Azadi March that left a trail of destruction in the capital, Islamabad. 2 people and a shooter died on Thursday night in a shooting outside a church in Ames, Iowa. Authorities said that the 3 people died outside the Cornerstone Church. The sheriff's office didn't give details about the shooting but said they received multiple calls at 6:51 p.m. The sheriff's office says there was no longer a threat to the public. Police used tear gas to disperse protesters in Sudanese capital Khartoum ahead of the 3rd anniversary of the crackdown on mass sit-ins in which dozens of peaceful protesters were killed. Protesters in the eastern and the southern neighborhoods blocked main roads using stones and car tires. Organized marchers demanded justice for the victims and denounced the military coup that plunged the country into further turmoil. The coup in October derailed the country's transition to democracy after 3 decades of rule by President Omar al-Bashir. Time now for all the action from sports. In chess, Anand continued his winning run in the classical section of the Norway chess tournament as he defeated China's Wang Hao in the 3rd round to remain on top of the standings. The 52-year-old Anand won the Armageddon sudden death game in 44 moves today after the regular classical match was drawn after 39 moves. Anand is leading with 7.5 points after 3 rounds. India's Commonwealth Games-bound weightlifting team, including Tokyo Olympics silver medalist Mirabai Chanu, will reach the host city, Birmingham, 1 month in advance to acclimatize with the conditions and undergo a preparatory camp ahead of the event. The CWG are scheduled to take place from July 28th to August 8th in Birmingham, UK. The Indian lifters are awaiting visas and are set to fly to the UK on June 20th or 21st. In tennis, 13 times French Open winner Rafael Nadal is on court as we speak, taking on 3rd seed Alexander Zverev in the first semi-finals of the men's singles at Roland Garros in Paris. The king of clay, Rafa Nadal, has lost in the French Open only 3 times ever since winning his first Grand Slam in 2005. Later tonight, the second semi-final will be played between Casper Ruud of Norway and Marin Cilic of Croatia. Coco Gauff will face world number 1 Iga Swiatek for the French Open title on Saturday after the teenager eased into her maiden Grand Slam final with a straight sets victory over Martina Trevisan. The 18-year-old American claimed a 6-3, 6-1 win, which saw both players featuring in the major semi-final for the first time. Gauff is the youngest Grand Slam finalist since Maria Sharapova won Wimbledon in 2004. In cricket, Bangladesh appointed all-rounder Shakib Al Hasan as Test captain for a 3rd time after Mominul Haq quit following poor run of form. Bangladesh Cricket Board also named batsman Liton Das the new vice-captain ahead of the 2-test series in the West Indies later this month. Mominul has scored 162 runs in the 6 test matches in 2022, averaging just 16.20. Before we wrap, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Modi launches projects worth over Rs 80,000 crore at UP Investors Summit in Lucknow, says investors showed faith in the youth of Uttar Pradesh. Union Home Minister Amit Shah reviews the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, discusses Amarnath Yatra arrangements with NSA Ajit Doval, Army Chief and Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. Nomination process concludes for 57 seats of the Rajya Sabha in 15 states. Candidates unopposed in 45 seats in 12 states, voting on remaining seats on the 10th of June. External Affairs Minister S. JAISHANKAR meets the Prime Minister of Slovakia, discusses cooperation in the field of politics, economics and defense. Asserts India has exported wheat to 23 countries. Double medals for India at the ISSF World Cup. Anjum Mudgil and men's team win silver medals in 50-meter rifle three-position events. Women wrestlers Mansi and Sakshi Malik win gold in Almaty tournament. That's all we have in this bulletin. To keep yourself updated, stay tuned to Sansad TV. Till next time, goodbye, namaskar.